sharing the update of my OBGYN appointment a couple of days ago. Didn't want to leave you guys hanging. The ultrasound went good. Uterus is fine, everything is fine. However, they did find a fibroid in the measurement of 2 centimeters, so that's nothing to be alarmed about, but definitely something to keep an eye on. And so sad, my OBGYN, the lady who did my fibroid removal major surgery a few years back, she is leaving the office. I'm sad to see her go, only because we've been through so much with everything that went on. But I'm so happy for her too at the same time. So I get to actually meet her colleague, who hopefully I'll establish a new great relationship with her, and hopefully we'll see what our options are going forward. Husband's coffee cup. Oh boy. So I guess I wanted to share with you guys what's going on. The one reason why I definitely wanted to get a checkup. I know there's a lot of channels out there for TTC, which is trying to conceive, and I haven't really opened up about our TTC journey, and I don't know if it's TMI or what, but you know, with the whole fibroid scare, I mean, that was a wake-up call, you know. It's really important to get yourself examined, you know, every year. Unfortunately, they didn't detect it during my exams, which is so ironic, until I felt something that was really hard, you know, in my abdomen. You know, I was just having more complications on your menstrual and other things, and I don't want to really get into it, but I'm glad that I, you know, went to her, and my OBGYN then did an ultrasound, and we had to do other ultrasounds as a follow-up, and that's when they had found a huge, ginormous fibroid. And my uterus was the size of being pregnant for like 26 weeks. It was major. So had to go into surgery, and they told me, you know, the surgery isn't going to be much. It's just going to be like maybe a little 2-inch incision, where then they can go in, and then they would have to take a look and see how big and so forth. They knew that, you know, my husband and I wanted to conceive, and we wanted to have a family, and so they were being extra careful not to harm the uterus. And so once I was on the operating table and they opened me up just a little bit, they got to look inside, and they found how big this mass was. They had to call another surgeon to help her. This little incision became a huge, huge, major surgery where they had to open me up completely from the belly button down. And when they went in there, they couldn't believe how big this was. They had to actually cut it and separate it in 3 different pieces. And once they got that out of me, and then I was in the hospital for I think it was like a week to recuperate with that. And that was just so hard, because that's just like having a C-section. So I was released and discharged, came home. Oh my gosh. Couldn't really move or do anything. That was hard. Thank goodness my mom came to my rescue, and she came and stayed with me for about 3 weeks. So my mom was there. I did have a follow-up with my OBGYN. The night before, I woke up to a huge Charlie horse it was in my left leg. And I remember walking and trying to walk it off, but it just wasn't going away. It was just staying. And the next morning, I had to go to the OBGYN surgeon just to see, you know, how I'm doing and all that. And I told him about my Charlie horse. He just said, right away, you got to go and get an ultrasound. I want to do a thorough check on your leg, just to see if there's any clots or anything like that. And I said, okay. We took the ultrasound, and then from there, I came home, and then I got a call from a hematologist specialist And somehow she got a hold of me saying that I need to come into her office immediately. She told me then that they had found 2 blood clots in my left leg. The thing is that we need to prep you for getting on a blood thinner to dissolve the 2 blood clots. You need to be admitted into the hospital. Took me back into the hospital where I stayed there for a week to prep my blood so that I can get on to Coumadin. Dissolve those 2 blood clots that were in my calf and in my inner thigh. I had all kinds of doctors coming into my room. I had a roommate who was saying, "Who are you? Are you like a VIP or something? You have all kinds of people coming to you." I had not only my OBGYN, I had the other second surgeon that was doing his rounds. He would always stop in to make sure my incision is doing well. I had my primary doctor, I had my hematologist specialist, I had all these people. They were really nice. They kept coming into my room to make sure I was comfortable and there's no other complications. Especially with what I was dealing with, they were really alarmed and wanted to really observe me. One night, one of the doctors, before he went home, he was at the hospital, so he came into my room and I was kind of like doing one of those things, and he was like, what did you just do? And I said, I just have a hard time kind of like breathing a little bit. I said, but I've been coughing, so it probably has to do with whatever's in my chest still. And then he said, let me listen to your chest. So he was listening to my chest, and then right away he ordered me to take a CAT scan and an MRI ASAP. So then they rushed me downstairs, came back up. The doctor came back with the results saying, "Denise, we found a 3rd blood clot that's in your chest, near your heart, in your lungs." And I go, "Oh my God." So then they had another IV that was connected to me, and I was going to be in the hospital a little bit longer. And that was pretty scary because it could be fatal. Totally gave me the whole talk, and I remember I was just crying. I can have a stroke or a heart attack, and there can be other complications, especially, with the blood thinner. They're really looking after me because it could be possible inner bleeding because I'm still healing. My uterus is still healing. So it was pretty scary during that time. So I was in the hospital for maybe about 2 weeks, and they finally discharged me. Came home, and I remember I was just kind of out for at least a couple of months or so. It was just really hard to move, and I had to do blood work like every other day because my body was reacting so crazy with all this blood thinner going into me. It was extremely too high or extremely too low. My body was just, it was having a hard time to try to fluctuate with it. Finally, it started to get to a normal level. And so with that, then I only had to do blood work like twice a week. They had me on, always checking in. I always had doctor's appointments to see how I'm feeling, how I'm doing. A lot of ultrasounds, x-rays, the whole thing, which I'm grateful for. So this went on for a full year. So I took like 9 months off of work during that time, which I worked in healthcare and human resources. Yeah, that was hard. That was really hard. So during that time, it was about a year, and then finally got the okay that it was pretty much all dissolved. But, my husband and I, we wanted to still have a family. And at this time, we've been trying since 2008. And there was, at this point, it was like, no wonder why we weren't getting pregnant. I had this huge, huge fibroid mass, never giving us a chance because that's what they feed off. And so even if we were pregnant, I would have never known because I would have just miscarried like each time. So this fibroid just never gave us a chance to actually conceive on our own. So that explained a lot. And so now 2008, we've been trying. 2010 is when I had the surgery. 2011 is when I was off of blood thinners, but they still wouldn't give us the okay to start trying just yet. until like another 6 months. They wanted us to wait because of all the toxics that they had placed in me to dissolve the blood clots, and we just didn't want to risk it. And trust me, I was still healing. So 2012 finally came, and they finally gave us the okay to start trying. So we tried. In the mid 2012, we weren't getting anywhere, and so you know, time is ticking, and we decided to seek a specialist, a fertility specialist. One of the tests that they had to do on me was to see how my uterus is. Uterus is fine. They said the incision from that major surgery is beautifully done. And then what they also wanted to do was to place dye into my fallopian tubes to make sure that there's no complications, that maybe, you know, in some cases women at my age, their fallopian tubes kind of close. And sure enough, my fallopian tubes are closed, and they believe that it had a lot to do with that surgery. Who knew? Who knew that they were closed? No one would have known until I would have done this test. So all that time trying, they were closed. So there was no way possible that we can get pregnant without doing an IVF at this point. So we had major decisions to make. It's now 2013. So we decided to move forward with an IVF. So we tried. A first recipe that they gave me, we were doing injections every day, taking so many supplements, a lot of medication, a lot of money, a lot of time, going back and forth, trying to make my eggs grow. And the first round, I just did not produce enough eggs. I mean, I produced eggs, but they were so small. So the specialist said, you know, this just isn't a good month. Let's attempt, you know, next month. We'll go a little bit higher with all the medication to produce more eggs with you. Fine. So we attempted the second try. Second try, I produced more eggs, which was great, and they were growing, and they were growing bigger and bigger and bigger. So finally she gave us the okay. So we proceeded with an egg retrieval, and this was it was May of 2014. And because of our age, suggested for us to perform a genetic testing on that. So what they did was, once they retrieved, I think all I had was like 5 eggs. So they retrieved all 5, and they fertilized all 5. Out of the 5, 2 of them were fertilized. So 2 of them, then they basically put them in an incubator for genetic testing. And during that genetic testing, they just didn't survive. So emotionally, I think I was drained. Yeah, I was hard. But, so we couldn't go forward with an IVF. And I think all my hopes at that point were pretty gone. But, you know, I just told my husband, I think it's just time for us to kind of sit back a little bit and try to figure out what we're going to do. Because at this point, it was $25,000 that we spent out of cash, our own cash. And I didn't know if I really wanted to go for a third attempt, because that would be another $25,000. So I just told him, I said, let's just hold off. Let's just figure this out. And then we decided to get a second opinion, you know, and I'm glad we did. We went to San Francisco to see another specialist, and there he told us everything that the first specialist did wrong, and he was just dumbfounded by her plan, her recipe, genetic testing, the whole thing. He was just, you know, he just told me, whenever you guys are ready, come and see me. So now that was mid-June 2014. And so we took some time off just to kind of regroup and try to figure out how we're going to do this, you know, not just emotionally, but also financially. 2014 is when my mother had her massive stroke. Put the fertility in the back burner, really. So now here we are, 2016, and I just wanted to, see if there's any fibroids regrown. First of all, that was a major. Now that, everything looks pretty good, my husband's still wanting to go back and revisit that one specialist that we saw in San Francisco. So I am going to make an appointment and just talk to him. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? At least just to go see him, what he says and what he suggests. I don't know if it's possible, impossible. I'm sure it's possible somehow. Kind of see where this kind of takes us. I don't really want to turn my channel into a TTC journey or anything like that, but I definitely did want to tell you guys what's going on. I guess this is considered a life update. It's going to be a major decision for us, really, and I'm not too sure exactly how everything is going to come out. My mother is getting stronger and stronger, and I know she really wants to go back to Las Vegas. I'd like to go back to work, maybe thinking about going part-time. Hiring a full-time caregiver, I really don't know. I don't know exactly. I have so many things to think about at this point, but I do want to at least go revisit that fertility specialist and just see what he says. I guess it just can't hurt. Might be a possibility, or it just might be closure. So that's where I'm at. That's what's going on. Sorry, I didn't really want to have too much TMI, and I didn't really want to drag this whole thing out. Really don't want to make this a TTC video. But, for those of you who are going through this, I feel you. This is so hard. I've always wanted to have a family, and I guess I just kind of took it for granted when I was younger. I mean, I was more into my career, making money, doing things, I guess, just being selfish in a way, thinking, oh, I got time. But now I'm at that age where, no, Denise, you don't have time. Time is up, basically. But then when we wanted to try, then who would have ever expect something like this? All the stuff that we have been through was like, are you kidding me? Oh my God, just too crazy. But let me tell you, I love my husband. I love that man. We have been through so much together, and it's made us really strong, stronger as a married couple and spouse and a friend. Yeah, he's my rock. Definitely, as he says, I'm his. So, anywho, I just want to say thank you for watching. I know this is a touchy subject, and if there's anyone out there who are dealing with fibroids, I feel you. I hope that maybe my story can help you in some way. And then for those of you also on a TTC journey, baby dust to you. And I don't know what the future holds for us, really, and but that's just life, and I plan to live it.